Hey guys, this is going to be your first lesson on trig. But before we get into anything too complicated, we're just going to review some geometry that you guys did the previous years. So let's go look at this first problem. We have a triangle. They're asking us to find all 6 of the trig functions. So in geometry, you guys talked about sine, cosine, tangent. Today, we're also going to be talking about 3 other trig functions. But when you are dealing with these types of problems, the first thing you should always do is label your sides. So you go to your right angle. Then you go directly across from your right angle. That is going to be your hypotenuse. So I'm going to label it with an H. Then you go to the angle that they give you. So I go to this angle. The one directly opposite it is going to be your opposite. So I'm going to label it with O. And then the side right next to it is going to be your adjacent. I'm going to label it with an A. So in order to find all 6 of them, you actually need to find all 3 of the sides. But since this is a right triangle, we are allowed to use the Pythagorean theorem. That is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Your c is always going to be your hypotenuse, no matter what. The a and the b are going to be your legs. It doesn't matter which one you put in each place. So here we have 2 legs, and we're trying to find a hypotenuse. So I'm just going to plug in 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to c squared. If I simplify this, I get 25 plus 144 is equal to c squared. If I add these together, I get 169 is equal to c squared. And then in order to get rid of a square, you must square root both sides. So if I square root, you're going to end up getting 13 is equal to c. So I'm going to plug that in for over here. And now I'm going to get rid of this information. Now, in order to find your trig functions, you need to remember the most important thing about trig is so, ka, toa. So it's a good idea to remember this way so you know that if it's supposed to be opposite over hypotenuse or hypotenuse over opposite, it's just a good way to remember it. So first, if I start off with sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite is 12, my hypotenuse is 13. So this is going to be 12 divided by 13. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 5, hypotenuse is 13. And then lastly, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So this is going to be 12 over 5. So for the new ones, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. These are very easy if you have the basic 3, because cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. That means that the cosecant of theta is just going to be 13 over 12. The way that I remember it, since this is sine, the letters shouldn't match up. So this starts with an S, this starts with a C, that's a reciprocal. If we look at the next one, this one starts with a C, that means the reciprocal is going to be the one that starts with the S, secant theta. That will be 13 over 5. And then for tangent, cotangent, you just can see that they're going to be the reciprocals of each other. So this one would be 5 over 12. And that's how you do this problem. There are 2 more problems that we have to go over. So let me get to it. The next one is a little word problem. They tell you that there is a right triangle. So let's draw that right triangle. Boom, boom, boom. Make sure you write your little right triangle marker. It tells you that there is an acute angle. So an acute angle just means less than less than 90 degrees. So I can either choose this one or this one. I'm just going to choose this one. That's going to be my angle. And they also tell us that sine of theta is equal to 4 over 7. So like I said in the previous problem, the first thing you should always do is label. We go to our right angle, opposite of it is going to be our hypotenuse. Then we go to the angle given to us, the one opposite of it is going to be our opposite, and then the one right next to it is going to be your adjacent. Now let's write out SOHCAHTOA. So, ka, toa. Since they told us that the sine of theta is 4 over 7, that means I know that the opposite is going to be 4. And then I also know that the hypotenuse is going to be 7. And now I need to find my adjacent. This is one of the legs. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem again, but you need to be a little careful. So let me put down the formula again. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Remember, C is your hypotenuse. So when I plug this in, I'm going to have 4 squared plus B squared is equal to 7 squared. Simplify, I got 16 plus B is equal to 49. Subtract 16 on both sides. Yet B squared is equal to 33. Square root both sides. You should be getting B is equal to radical 33. So we're going to plug that in. Radical 33. So just like before, they're asking us to find the 6 trig functions. So I'm going to write them all down, and I'm going to start with sine. Sine of theta, they already told us, so it was 4 over 7. After that, we're going to do the cosine of theta. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. So my adjacent is radical 33. My hypotenuse is 7. And then lastly, the tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 4. Adjacent is radical 33. So we have 4 over radical 33. Now here, make sure you switch the letter. So this should be cosecant theta. And it's just a reciprocal. So this is going to be 7 over 4. This one's going to be secant theta. So that's going to be the reciprocal, 7 over radical 33. And then cotangent is going to equal, sorry, I forgot the theta, radical 33 over 4. And that's how you find all the sides. And now we have one more problem to go over, and that should help you guys with the homework. So just let me erase this. The last problem that we got to go over is finding a missing side. So let's draw a right triangle. I'm going to label this X. This is 30 degrees. And this is 8. So just like in any other problem, the first thing, once again, label your sides. Go to the right angle, opposite of it, hypotenuse. Go to the angle they give us, opposite of it is going to be your opposite, and then the one right next to it is your adjacent. I'm going to write out SOHCAHTOA. So, ka, toa. So if you look here, we got to figure out which one we need to use, sine, cosine, or tangent. In order to do this, we just see what we are given. They give us an x for adjacent, which I need to solve for, so I'm going to be using adjacent. And they also gave us our hypotenuse. So we need to choose the one that has adjacent and hypotenuse, and that is going to be cosine. So now when I write this, I'm going to do the cosine of my angle, which is 30, equals my adjacent is x, my hypotenuse is 8. So now there are 2 different ways that you can do this. I might ask you for the decimal way, or I might ask you for the exact value. One second, let me grab my calculator. So first I'm going to show you the decimal way. So in order to do this, you put this over 1, so it's a fraction over a fraction. And now you're going to cross multiply. So you do x times 1, which is x, equals cosine of 30 times 8 would be 8 cosine of 30. This you can now put into your calculator. However, you need to be careful. So in your calculator, you see right here where it says mode, you must click mode and make sure that it says degree, not radian. It must be under degree or this will not work. So let me put this into the calculator, 8 cosine of 30. And we're going to end up getting x is equal to 6.93. I'm just rounding for right now. So if I ask you to do it the exact value way, so I'm going to redo it. It's going to be the same exact thing. Cosine of 30 equals x over 8. So in your homework, I gave you guys a chart. It tells you the exact value of cosine of 30. The exact value is radical 3 over 2 equals x over 8. So now we're going to cross multiply. So I have 2x equals 8 radical 3. If I cross multiply this way, divide by 2 on both sides, you should be getting x is equal to 4 radical 3. So this is an exact value answer. And just to show you guys that it matches, If I put that into my calculator, 4 radical 3, both of these match up exactly. So this is the decimal way using your calculator. This is an exact value. Please let me know if you guys have any questions, and I hope you guys do well.